Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and we've got a bunch of stuff on the Epstein case. I'm going to try to make it into a short video, not really focus on too much other than some of the new information out there. Now, remember, before Epstein was arrested, we were waiting and still are waiting on this document dump of, I believe it's 2,000 plus pages. And there's been a renewed interest in this, obviously, and once it does come out, I'm hoping that somebody can give me the direct link almost immediately. It definitely needs to be thoroughly vetted. So, number one, still waiting on that. Now, yesterday I reported on the Palm Beach police disputing the claim that they somehow cut a deal with Epstein where he was able to have another office and basically traffic women for sex to him. You know, it wasn't really like he was working. They were of age. We've had one eyewitness come forward. But again, you know, I'm not quite sure what's going to happen with that either. You know, it's a tough call. I think that things are unraveling. And you're seeing that, for instance, the sheriff's department has now opened up an internal affairs investigation into that. So I don't think he's going anywhere. He's been denied bail. There's new investigations going on. It seems like, just like I said, when I was saying to you, you know, I'm not even sure he was checking in at night. Was he checking in at night? Do we have any evidence on that? So the more and more you look at this quote-unquote sweetheart deal, even the deal they gave him was violated again and again and again. And it would be making sense that that would be the case if indeed the Vicky Ward information that he was an intelligence, that he worked for Adnan Khashoggi, famed Saudi Arabian playboy and arms dealer, heavily involved in the Iran-Contra scandal. And again, that passport, guys, give me a break. Are you really going to tell me that that passport is what they said it was? Oh, it's just from the 80s. It was issued by a friend. It's no big deal. I don't buy it. I don't buy it one bit. So again, it doesn't fly right with me. And Big Fish, who's been a really great researcher on this, let's see if we could get that even a little bit bigger for you, has really tried to show the Robert Maxwell connection. Of course, Ghislaine Maxwell was the fixer, the procurer, really, the main procurer for Epstein for years. And if Epstein was intelligence, I would imagine that Ghislaine was probably intelligence as well. And Robert Maxwell, super spy, there he is, he's the super spy there, obviously, you know, had connections to a lot of people. This is him talking about Donald Trump being on his boat. And remember, Maxwell's front was that he was a media mogul and had these publications. For instance, here's a picture of Maxwell. There's Trump. There's Mike Wallace. And, you know, to get into, you know, more associations, we do now have the identity of the tall man in this video. There he is right there. I was wondering who he was. I still want to know who the other guy is. But that right there, that tall man, Washington Post did a story on it. He is Tom McMillan, and is a Maryland congressman. He also, I mean, I'm getting information from people, and I don't know whether this is true or not because I wasn't able to find any articles on it, that he was accused of sexual assault at one point, but the charges were dropped. Now he's a pro basketball player for the Bullets at one time, one of those people that transitioned from the sports world into the political world. And, you know, he got some quotes in. He said, look, and by the way, Epstein had, if you read this, he had 6 ways to contact the guy. And, you know, he hasn't seen him in 20 years, and he understands the media scrutiny. He gets it because the charges against him are so horrific and abhorrent. I sympathize with the victim, and I understand, or victims, and I understand the media scrutiny. So, again, he was on the Olympic team. He was actually a Rhodes Scholar, so he was kind of setting himself up beforehand to be in politics. And again, you know, it doesn't surprise me that this is another person in these circles, you know, a politician, an athlete, and Epstein. Epstein would put himself, you know, in those social circles. Now, the media, again, keeps focusing on Trump and Epstein's relationship, even though it looks like it was nothing more than, again, I haven't seen, other than the Katie Johnson stuff, any allegations that, Trump was into something nefarious and that he did break it off. However, I noticed in this MSNBC piece, again, they're talking about Trump and being abhorrent with women, and they show a clip of the talk show that he was actually on, which they taped all that Epstein stuff for, where, listen, he doesn't sound like the best. It hasn't aged well. He talks about kissing the reporter on the lips, and she's kind of flirting and making light of it, and said when he did it, that's when she made him promise to do her show. And then he talks about her husband and what a good-looking guy he is. And, again, they're speechless on that. But the bald gentleman, he's looking at his phone because he probably doesn't know the case half as well as you guys do, the audience. But he goes to the story of Epstein and Trump having a bevy of models come to Mar-a-Lago and basically have a party for them. Now, what he doesn't seem to mention is that it's alleged that this is where Trump may have met Melania. But I'm seeing the media now start to roll this out a little more so that they can really, nail down that association between Epstein and Trump. Let's play it.
Here, to me, in that New York Times story that you cited earlier, is the paragraph that I find so interesting and damning, is the one that talks about the party that the NBC shot. And then it says it took place the same year that Mr. Trump hosted a more private affair with Mr. Epstein in Mar-a-Lago without cameras rolling. At that get-together, Mr. Trump and Mr. Epstein were the only male guests and had more than 24, quote, calendar girls flown in to provide them with entertainment. So, a party with those two guys at Donald Trump's private club with 24 calendar girls, in quotes in the Times, I add the quotes there, flown in to entertain them. I mean, to Jason's point, what does that suggest? It suggests exactly what you're talking about and what the nature of the relationship was between the two of them.
And come on. Again, I don't know that we can deny that. We know that Trump is into women. He bragged about it. Again, 3 marriages. It seems to, Melania knows that he cheats on her. Let's say it's true that Melania was at that party and it was basically an audition for Trump's next wife. The media is going to hammer that home as much as they can and try to obfuscate from the more important matters of him being a possible intelligence asset. And really, again, the evidence now is overwhelming. When Acosta comes into the transition team on Trump and is asked, and he says it was above my pay grade, or he was told it was above his pay grade because Epstein was in intelligence. That's so damning. And then to be connected to the trafficking of children, to go back to the New York mansion, not only the Wexner connection, but we're going to see a bunch of others. Obviously, the Clinton connection is also very real. Many people took the fifth when asked if they ever saw Bill Clinton with underage girls. And that's just, one of the things. I get a lot of flack lately that I haven't gone as hard on the Clinton connection. So let's do it for a second. Prior to this bust, I did an entire video of not only Bill Clinton, but Kevin Spacey's connection to each other and then Epstein. I've talked at length that Eric Prince alleged that Hillary Clinton had been to the island at least 6 times. I've talked about the connections to the Clintons and even the Bronfman family. And obviously, I've done more work than anybody on NXIVM, in my opinion. I've definitely put out more videos than anybody on NXIVM, more coherent videos, where that's another one of these networks that had access to children. And it involves billionaires. So I just don't know what else to say there. I'm hoping that people can get beyond the left-right paradigm and realize that this is both sides. For instance, I'm going to be doing a video after this on George Nader. In fact, I'm just going to give you a little preview of that right now. And George Nader was used by the Mueller team to try to get dirt on Trump. He was one of the main contributors. And what's the deal here? Well, he was dealing with the Trump team, and yes, he's hit with new charges of sex trafficking, this time a 14-year-old boy in Europe. We're going to go deep on that one. That's going to be a separate video coming up because they already picked him up, I think it was 2 or 3 months ago, on new CP charges. These guys run in those circles, doesn't matter which side. And guys, I don't take sides. So if you like my content, if you think that, you need a real voice that isn't team red or team blue, Republican, Democrat, conservative, liberal, guys, it's bullshit. So please subscribe. become a member of the Burmese Brigade. Share this on social media with others. Put it in email lists. Throw it on your blog. Ring that bell for notifications. And guys, if you can, I got a GoFundMe. My goal is like $5,000 a month so I can keep pumping out 3, 4, 5, 6, sometimes 7 videos a day on subjects that matter. I got some really cool interviews coming up. I'm going to be on the Richie Allen Show. And I'm going to have Johnny Vedmore on Monday to discuss other intelligence connections to Epstein and the Mossad. So it should be really a big week coming up, especially with more information and hopefully those documents finally being put out into the public arena. I want to thank everybody out there, and I will see everybody on the flip side.